And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chentex Multimedia live stream, streaming directly to your device all the way from Brisbane. And I hope you all had a great weekend. Yeah, of course, we know there was a little bit of rain late yesterday. It spoiled a lot of outdoor settings and outdoor eating for many people. But nevertheless, it was a free weekend, meaning you could go, to restaurants and other places. So people were taking advantage of that, which is wonderful. And of course, tomorrow is Australia Day. And of course, together with Australia Day, we have India's Republic Day. It is a joint celebration of both the nations. And of course, we will be looking at both of those in detail as well. But if you're planning activities for tomorrow, we will have to have a look at what it's going to be like, because tomorrow being a public holiday and many functions taking place in and around Brisbane. So we would not be in the studio, but we'll be out there covering those events so that we can bring those footage back to you. But for now, let's take a look at what the weather would be like, coming out into for today, rest of today, and of course for tomorrow. With that, let's welcome Dilraj.
Good morning, everyone. Weather forecast for the rest of today is maximum 29 degree. Brisbane area is partly cloudy with medium chance of showers becoming less likely this afternoon. Light winds becoming east to northeasterly 15 to 20 km per hour in the early afternoon, then becoming light in the evening. Fire danger is low to moderate. Sun protection is recommended till 4 p.m. and UV index is predicted to reach 12, that is extreme. Tomorrow, that is Tuesday, minimum will be 21 and maximum will be 31. Brisbane area will be partly cloudy with slight chance of a shower mainly during the early morning. Light winds becoming northeasterly 15 to 20 km per hour in the late afternoon, then becoming light in the evening. Sun protection is recommended till 4 p.m. and UV index is predicted to reach 12, that is extreme. Till tomorrow, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you very much for that update, Dilraj. And of course, if you're planning things for tomorrow, be careful, especially early in the morning with those little bit of rain that's been predicted. Well, right now, we'll go to meet the Prime Minister as he's made his announcements today, and he's be talking about vaccines. And we will later on, we'll be looking at the vaccines in India as well. And before that, we will first get this update from our Prime Minister.
On vaccines. But before I do that, I've spoken to Premier Marshall this morning regarding the bushfire on the outskirts of Adelaide, adjacent to the Adelaide Hills. As those waking up in Adelaide this morning, they'll be very aware of that. The smoke haze very visible and very real. And he indicates to me that they were able to move quickly last night, but there's still work to be done to get this under control. We've offered federal assistance, none is required at this stage, and so we just look forward to a day in Adelaide where they're able to get on top of that and everybody can remain safe. But it was a very positive report from the Premier, and we wish them all the best today, and we thank all of those volunteer firefighters. It's quite difficult terrain where this fire is, and so there's been some difficulties accessing the area, but no doubt they will overcome, as they always do, and I thank them for their very selfless service today. It's a year today since the first case of COVID-19 in Australia, and what an extraordinary year it has been over these past 12 months. But a year on from that fateful day, Australia, we know, has done better and managed this together, working together, better than almost any other country in the world today, as we look at the terrible situation being experienced in many parts of the world, some quite close to here actually, some further afield. Our thoughts and support is with all the nations of the world as we seek to get on top of what has been a calamitous event for the world over these last 12 months, and indeed longer than that in some cases. So far, over the course of this summer, despite some very serious threats, working together, we have so far been able to avoid and prevent a third wave of COVID-19 here in Australia. Now, we can take nothing for granted, as I said after the National Cabinet meeting on Friday, but that effort, whether it was in Brisbane with the strain, the new strain that had been able to get outside the quarantine facilities in Brisbane and being able to move quickly, and having been in Brisbane late last week and there as the restrictions started to ease, or having returned to Sydney on the weekend for the first time in about 6 weeks, and to see how people continue to manage with the easing restrictions there and how they've been able to get on top of the outbreak, and of course the outbreak that also occurred in Victoria. Once again, systems tested. Once again, Australians tested. Once again, Australia and our systems have passed that test. And so I have a simple message to Australia. Thank you. Thank you, Australia. Thank you that you have put us in a situation that is the envy of most countries in the world today. We intend to keep it that way. We intend to remain vigilant. We intend to continue to set the pace and set the standards by which we can ensure that we keep Australians safe, and we save lives and we save livelihoods, which have always been our twin goals. Now, a couple of weeks ago, when I stood here with the Health Minister and the Secretary, we gave you an update on where the vaccines were at that stage, and we undertook to keep people updated on that. And it's important that we be as transparent as we possibly can. This is a global challenge like none we've seen in a very, very long time. And there will be challenges along the way, and we are addressing them. Just earlier today, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, Professor Skerritt, announced that they had approved the Pfizer vaccine for people aged over 16 years here in Australia. I note that this is not an emergency approval, as has been done in some other jurisdictions around the world. This is a formal approval under the ordinary processes of the TGA. And we are one of the first countries, in the handful of countries, to have gone through that comprehensive and thorough process here in Australia to ensure the approval of that vaccine. Now, their work will continue, as it has been in parallel, regarding the AZ vaccine as well, and we look forward to their thorough work, but also their timely work, as they've demonstrated in getting us to where we are today on Pfizer. Now, we remain on track to have those vaccines in Australia and ready to go from very small beginnings, I should stress, very small beginnings. Starting small, we scale up, as we outlined in the plan that we advised to you some weeks ago. We're more looking at late February than mid-February now, because of the challenges that we've seen in the production and delivery for both AZ and Pfizer around the world. You'll be very aware of the situation and the pressures that we're seeing globally. This day last week, I was holding a further video conference meeting with quite a number of the national leaders throughout Europe, but also in Israel, and they are under considerable strain and stress there in countries that are experiencing large numbers of fatalities every day, and their vaccination programs under extreme stress. Australia has taken the time. We've been watching and learning from the experience overseas, and so we remain within the guardrails of the time frame that we set a few weeks ago, but obviously that is going to continue to come under challenge for events and circumstances that exist well beyond our shores. And it was for that reason, around August of last year, that we took the decision that we didn't want to be in a situation where we were completely reliant on the production of vaccines overseas. So we took the decision, we put the arrangements in place with CSL and AZ to ensure that we would be able to produce our own vaccine here in Australia, and that is happening now. That is underway now. Yes, we paid a premium for it. Yes, we had to put the capability in place with CSL to achieve that. And yes, we're even involved more broadly in the development of their production facilities in Melbourne. But that was the right decision for Australia, because as much as you can, you want to be able to control as many things as you can in this country when dealing with COVID-19. That has been our form. That will continue to be our form. And with that, I'll ask the Health Minister and the Secretary to give you some further detail.
Thanks very much, Prime Minister, and to Brendan. Today's another very important step forward in protecting Australians, in saving lives and protecting lives. As the Prime Minister said, it's a year to the day since the first case of COVID-19 was diagnosed in Australia, and it's worth reflecting on that journey briefly. We know that the world is likely to reach 100 million formally diagnosed cases within the next 48 hours. We know that the world has already lost formally 2.1 million lives, and no doubt the real figure will be higher because of undiagnosed or unrecognised cases. In Australia, there have been 7 consecutive days of 0 cases of community transmission. 9 out of the last 10 days have had 0 community transmission. There have been no lives lost in that time, and we are back to 0 Australians on ventilation and 0 Australians in ICU because of COVID-19. At the same time,
and now moving on, following on from that report, we'll take a look at on this anniversary of the first case being discovered here, is that what's been happening worldwide. And of course, India was criticized that, they're not being able to manage that. So this one is coming with the courtesy of WAN with Graviters. I'd like to make a special mention of them because this footage is by them. Let's take a look at what India did and how it handled that situation. Here's the report.
It's the 23rd of January 2021. Let's rewind a little. 10 months ago, New York-based Foreign Affairs magazine predicted a catastrophe for India. 4 months later, the Boston Review called India's Wuhan virus response a quote-unquote humanitarian disaster. In August 2020, the Scientific American claimed India is in denial about the COVID-19 crisis. The BBC was quick to declare that New Delhi is staring at a disaster. This headline is now 3 months old. The pandemic in India, more than 10 months old. A year and a month have passed since the first case of the Wuhan virus was reported in China. A year and 10 days since the first case was reported outside China. Look at what the BBC has to say now. The UK reports a record 1,564 daily deaths. A further 1,564 people have died in the UK within 28 days of a positive COVID test, the biggest figure reported in a single day since the pandemic began. The CNN reports that UK hospitals look like a war zone. And just so that you know, hospitals in the US are not keeping too well either. Over 24 million people have been affected in the United States so far. That's more than 25% of the global caseload. Hospitalizations are up in Hawaii, Kansas, New Jersey, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Vermont, and Maine. California is the new hotspot, and the West as a whole is all over the place. India, on the other hand, appears to have got a grip on the Wuhan virus pandemic. Cases have fallen to the lowest since June 2020. So much for the doomsday predictions. As we speak, India is also driving the world's largest vaccination program. 1.3 billion people are slated to be immunized. 1.04 million people have been vaccinated as of the 22nd of January. By July this year, India plans to vaccinate at least 300 million people. That's almost the entire population of the United States. India has trained 200,000 vaccinators, 370,000 team members, ready 29,000 cold storages, and India is not done yet. India is not just vaccinating its own, but also nursing the neighborhood back to health. India's vaccine diplomacy is what we will focus on this episode of Gravitas Plus. Hello and welcome. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. As we speak, Indian vaccines have reached these countries. India gifted 150,000 doses of Wuhan virus vaccines to Bhutan. The consignment landed on the 20th of January. 100,000 doses of the Covishield were gifted to the Maldives. 1 million doses of the vaccine were gifted to Nepal on the 21st of this month. On the same day, an Air India flight carrying 2 million doses of Covishield also landed in Bangladesh. On the 22nd of January, Indian vaccines reached Myanmar, Seychelles, Mauritius, Brazil and Morocco. Myanmar received 1.5 million doses, Seychelles 50,000. All of these were free of cost. Sri Lanka and Afghanistan are next on the list. India is looking to donate around 10 million doses of vaccines. The jabs will cover healthcare providers, frontline workers and the most vulnerable people in these countries. This is India's hashtag, Vaccine Maitri. Now, just take a moment and think about this. The world's so-called developed nations are focused on their own problems, overwhelmed by the pandemic, while India is nursing other countries back to health. Even in times of a deadly pandemic, India is looking at her neighborhood first and healing the region with the highest population density. The demand for India's vaccines, however, goes beyond SAARC and beyond the subcontinent. Brazil and Morocco have just received their shipments under commercial agreements. Brazil bought 2 million doses of Indian vaccines, as did Morocco. The UK and Belgium have shown interest in buying vaccines from India. Dominica has sent an SOS letter to the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt wrote, "I request with great humility and respect that you assist us by donating the doses we need to make our population safe, optimally 70,000 first and second doses." Other developing nations like South Africa, Kenya and Nigeria are looking forward to Indian vaccines, as are many West Asian countries, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Why is the world interested in Indian vaccines? A, they're cost effective, and B, they're safe. The Moderna vaccine, for example, is expected to cost around $30, Sputnik V around $10. Now compare this to Covishield from India, approximately $6. Did you know India is home to the largest number of US FDA-approved vaccine manufacturing plants? Indian firms have a reputation for top-notch standards. If you watch WION, you would know this by now. India is known as the world's pharmacy. Vaccine developers from around the world have been tying up with Indian plants since the beginning of the pandemic. These are some of India's renowned vaccine manufacturers. India's pharma sector caters to 50% of the global vaccine demand, 40% of the generic demand in the United States, and 25% of all medicines in the UK. Indian drugs are exported to more than 170 countries globally. India is also home to the world's largest vaccine manufacturer, the Serum Institute of India. It produces 1.5 billion doses of vaccines every year. The UK's GlaxoSmithKline, in comparison, manufactures 0.69 billion doses. Sanofi from France manufactures 1 billion doses. America's Merck and Johnson & Johnson produce less than 0.2 billion doses every year. The Serum Institute of India is currently manufacturing the Oxford AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine. It will also supply 200 million doses of vaccines to the COVAX Alliance to distribute vaccines to poorer countries. India is ensuring equitable distribution of vaccines. As India's Prime Minister said, India is ready to save humanity with 2 made-in-India vaccines. India's vaccine.
So there you are, that update, that news coming there from Gravitas and WION, and special thanks to them for providing that information. And of course, you might have seen that circulating on social media as well. Of course, you know, much to the delight of India that they have been able to do this and release that. And of course, you know, there is always a speculation. And of course, there is always uncharted grounds as well, uncharted waters. Things might progress and things might happen, and we might discover some side effects or whatever, but nevertheless they have been able to do it. I have been out there, and you know, you can't argue with facts and figures. Well, right now, facts and figures, let's come back to Australia and let's see what our treasurer has to say on the vaccine right here.
We're on track to receive the Pfizer vaccine mid to late February, and obviously the Pfizer vaccine, we've secured 10 million doses of it, and it's a vaccine which Katie knows better than anyone else has shown very positive efficacy results. We have adopted a portfolio approach when it comes to vaccines. What we've really sought to do is to put Australia's best foot forward and to give us the best opportunity to provide that level.
Trade Area, Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Real
of support across the community based on the best medical advice to us. And what Australia must do is to carefully consider those vaccines through the TGA process. That process is underway. We're not about to cut corners. We're not in the same position as the United States and the UK, where they've seen tens of thousands of new cases every day, and obviously tragically many lives being lost. We have the virus under control here in Australia, but we do want to roll out the vaccine, and that is why the TGA is going through its normal processes, and we are still on track to receive those Pfizer vaccines in mid to late February, I'm advised.
So mid to late February is when we are expected to receive ours, and when you compare on the other end, India's done and dusted, made and distributed. So many people have been vaccinated, and they're also helping all the neighboring countries there as well. So, I would say well done, India, on that achievement. Of course, Australia is taking a bit of a cautious measure, making sure that all the checks and balances are put in place before the vaccine hits the market.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Asha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world, and don't forget that on Wednesday we'll bring to you the real estate update with Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty. Well, right now, tomorrow is Australia Day, and of course on Australia Day we always have mixed feelings. As we know, that's the day when the British came here first. There was their first landing, and of course we had our First Nations people here already. So for them, it's like an invasion day. That's when the people came in. But there has to be a happy medium, and of course it is a touchy subject, and many times there is always mixed feelings. And Australia Day is when people receive lots of honours as well. All the Australia Day honours that are announced, the list which is on an embargo will be made public tomorrow. And I'd like to upfront congratulate everyone for receiving the awards this year. As you know, last year I received my OIM. So this year the list will be made public. And of course our February issue will have the full list of everyone receiving those awards, Australia Day awards, Australia Day honours as well. Well, right now, when you look at Australia Day, it means many things to many different people. But today, as we are a diverse nation, and of course we are very proud of our multicultural heritage, and looking at that multicultural heritage, we should always invest in our kids, the youngsters, because they are the future of the country. Our thought pattern will, shape their future. So on Australia Day, what do they think of Australia Day, and what does Australia Day mean to them? Let's take a look at the kids' perspective.
There's a lot of different famous stuff here, like the Sydney Opera House and what's that house called in Canberra? The famous house in Canberra that has all the presidents and stuff.
Favourite thing about Australia is especially the people. People are really nice, caring.
I like having friends from different places because I learn about different cultures.
There's rules that we can follow so we can be safe.
It's a really clean country.
Australia's not dusty, except for Uluru in the Northern Territory.
There's wide amounts of opportunities.
There's not much traffic. Yeah, that's it. I guess there could be dinosaurs that were only native to Australia, I guess.
G'day, Billabong.
Kangaroo.
Good day, mate.
G'day, how you going?
Mr. in Cuba says good day. I don't say good day.
Flaming galah.
Flaming heck?
You are a big drongo.
They're so weird. I don't even think they're real. They're so weird I don't think they're real.
Well, I know 3 things about it. About who were the first people here were the Aboriginals, and when the first fleet arrived, it was in 1788, and it's always on January 26th.
We gather around family and then we do a barbecue. Family barbecue.
My mum calls some friends over, or sometimes we go to their place.
We all come together to have a little celebration. If you don't know the people and they're alone, you can just make friends and you can be their friends and you can play with them and stuff. Maybe tell them why we should be caring to each other.
I would host a barbecue. I try to get my parents to try and start it.
Give out free sausages or stuff like that. You could spend some quality time with some friends, and then you could go outside and do some exercise.
By going to places, singing Australian songs.
Tell them ways that they can actually celebrate Australia Days with us also. Yeah.
I think it's worth celebrating because it's a day where you can all come together and just sit around the barbie, eating, talking, and I think it's a really good day. Yeah, I love it.
So there you go, Australia Day, as it means to the community here today. I mean, the youngsters and their way of thinking. Well, we have seen Australia Day, and of course we know that 26th of January is also India's Republic Day. So why do we celebrate the Republic Day, and how did that come about?
Why is Republic Day celebrated? Counted among the 3 national holidays of the country together with the Independence Day, 15th August, and Gandhi Jayanti, 2nd October, Republic Day of India, 26th January, is a very popular national celebration. This event marks the proud founding of the Republic tradition of one of the largest democracies in the world. The significance of the day. Republic Day is meant to honor the date in which the country's Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution specially framed for the nation. On 26th January 1950, the newly drafted Constitution of India came to be enforced by way of replacing the Government of India Act 1935. Since then, this day is celebrated as the Republic Day of India year on year as a national event with a public holiday declared in all states of the country. Purna Swaraj. On 26 January 1930, the Indian National Congress declared Purna Swaraj or complete independence of the country from foreign rule. This proclamation enjoined the members of the Congress as well as the band of Indian nationalists to fight for the independence of the country, and it was also decided that this day shall be celebrated as the Independence Day of the country. Later, when India got its independence on another day, 15th August, it was decided that the Constituent Assembly would enforce the Constitution on 26th January 1950, though it was adopted on 26th November 1949. The need for a constitution. India got its freedom from the British rule on 15th August 1947. The freedom of the country was brought about by the bloodless and peaceful resistance envisioned by the Congress under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, who championed the way of non-violent protest of a kind and scale that was unprecedented in the history. When India was declared as the constitutional monarchy on this day, the nation still did not have a permanent constitution. Therefore, on 28th August 1947, the drafting committee was established under the leadership of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Constitution is enforced. The drafting committee submitted a draft of the Constitution to the Assembly on 4th November 1947. Assembly organized a series of sessions to discuss the Constitution. The process that stretched over 166 days was spread over 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. All these sessions were open to the public. Copies of the Constitution. Following several deliberations and modifications, the Assembly, consisting of 308 members, prepared 2 handwritten copies of the Constitution, one in Hindi and the other in English, duly signed by all the members. After its signing on 24th January 1950, it was enforced throughout the nation 2 days later on 26th January 1950. Celebrations in the country. The main Republic Day event is organized year on this date in the capital of India, New Delhi. In a ceremony held in Rajpath, the President of India presides over the event and a colorful and ceremonious parade is organized in honor of the nation. If you enjoyed watching our video, do share it and don't forget.
So ladies and gentlemen, there you are, the background of India's Republic Day celebration there. Of course, we know when we're talking about that celebration, of course, that we cannot forget Subhash Chandra Bose ji, and of course 23rd marks a very, very important day for him. And for his anniversary and remembrance, Prime Minister Modi was in Kolkata, and during the celebrations there, he spoke at the Victoria Memorial and in front of lots of people. But what happened there, of course, was Usha Uptap, who is a very great and a very renowned singer. She sang the very, very famous Bengali number, Eklo Chalo. Eklo Chalo means if there's no one there to give you company, move forward, go alone if you have to. So here's that rendition which was done in front of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
You walk on all alone. You walk on all alone. যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে তবে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে তবে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে If no one speaks to you, if no one speaks to you, don't feel you are unfortunate. If no one speaks to you, if everyone just looks away, and if they are scared, if everyone just looks away, and if they are scared, then open your heart and speak out all the words you have in mind and walk on all alone. Speak out all the words you have in mind and walk on all alone. যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও হাওয়ায় ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাবার কালে কেউ ফিরে না চায় যদি গহন পথে যাবার কালে কেউ ফিরে না চায় তবে পথের কাঁটা ও তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে ও তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে There is no one responding to your call You walk on all alone If no one shows the light If no one shows the light Don't feel you are unfortunate If no one shows the light If they all shut their doors on you on a dark and stormy night If they all shut their doors on you on a dark and stormy night Let thunder and lightning Set your soul on fire and in the blazing light you burn alone Set your soul on fire and in the blazing light you walk alone যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে তবে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে তবে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে তবে একলা চলো রে
And that wonderful rendition there with the voice like none other, Usha Optap, and what a wonderful presentation there, and that very, very beautiful number there, of course, having the English words and the version there as well, is quite lovely to see. Well, right now, the last news for today is looking at New South Wales, and let's see if we can get an update of what's been happening there, because people are very keen to see what the numbers are like now.
4th of January 2021. New South Wales has recorded no new cases of locally acquired COVID-19 in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night for the 6th day in a row. 3 new cases were reported in overseas travellers to 8 p.m. last night, which brings the total number of cases in New South Wales to 4,898 since the start of the pandemic. New South Wales Health is treating 78 people with COVID-19, none of whom are in intensive care. There were 11,344 tests reported to 8 p.m. last night, compared with the previous day's total of 11,343. New South Wales Health continues to urge people across the state to come forward for testing with even the mildest of symptoms. High testing rates are essential to give confidence that there are no cases going undetected in the community. Everyone who gets tested is playing an important role in helping to contain the spread of COVID-19. New South Wales Health sewage surveillance program has detected fragments of the virus that causes COVID-19 at 2 treatment plants, Warriewood and North Head. The Warriewood treatment plant takes in a catchment of approximately 70,000 people from the Northern Beaches. The North Head treatment plant takes in a catchment of approximately 1.3 million people from a large area of Sydney, north of the Parramatta River from Western Sydney to Manly. While these detections likely reflect known recent confirmed cases in these areas, New South Wales Health urges everyone living or working there to monitor for symptoms and get tested and isolate immediately if they appear. New South Wales Health's sewage surveillance program has also recently detected fragments of the virus that causes COVID-19 at Liverpool's treatment plant, which takes in a catchment of close to 180,000 people. New South Wales Health urges everyone living or working in the Liverpool area to monitor for symptoms and get tested and isolate immediately if symptoms appear. Everyone in New South Wales should be checking the New South Wales Government website regularly.
So the message there is that everyone, if in doubt, must get tested, and if you can, and if you have the time, you must get tested regardless. Anyway, just for your own safety and for the safety of others as well. Well, right now, moving on with the show, the last segment for today is when we look at the deaths in water. There have been so many people who get caught, and many a times people are caught in the tides, in the swings, not swimming between the flags. And of course, many people look at the water, look at other people's, and they just jump in unaware of the streams and the forces that might pull them. So here's the report on water safety, which is very important.
Well, we do know that we've had some large seas which have been happening around the country, and during this Christmas period we know that we do get a number of drowning deaths that have been happening. So we've had roughly between 38 up to 44% of coastal drowning deaths happen over the what we call the summer period since the 1st of December. So there's large surf, there's a bit of complacency about understanding of where we're going, and people not taking safety precautions about swimming between the flags or not wearing life jackets and putting themselves in risky situations.
Well, let's talk about your messages then to staying safe. We saw that tragedy play out south of Sydney where 3 men were washed off the rocks. What is your message to people who are interested in going out rock fishing or just climbing on the rocks?
Well, there's a number of key things that we want people to be aware of, whether it's through the Bureau of Meteorology, the State Emergency Services, Surf Lifesaving in the various states where we've had some of these incidents have actually put out warnings about large surf. So we're asking you to heed the advice of those authorities and police and other authorities that are putting out safety warnings, but also understand that the location that you're heading to. Do you know the location? Have you been there on a frequent basis? Do you know, particularly if you're going rock fishing, how the waves work, how big they are, where what the swell period's going to be. But importantly, if you're going to be at these locations, think about your own safety. So wear a life jacket, wear the appropriate gear, let someone know where you're going, but also don't take those risks. It's just your life's not worth it. So what we're asking people to do is think about their own safety, and regardless whether you're out boating, rock fishing or on any other watercraft, please wear a life jacket because it will increase your chance of survival so that surf lifesavers or other emergency services can get to you in time. But the thing that we want to say, if it doesn't look right, then don't do it. We've got 12,000 beaches around Australia, 52,000 kilometres of coastline, some amazing rivers and waterholes. So if you can't get to a patrolled location, what we're saying to people is start to use a stop, look, plan approach. And by that we mean stop and check for any dangers and hazards. Can you recognise if the water doesn't look right? Is there any currents that you need to be aware of? Is there any submerged rocks or trees that could cause you difficulty? So stop and have a look around, look for other hazards, look for if there are fishermen or other people that can advise you of any risks that may be in that location, and have a plan, know where you're going and think about what you're doing. Have I got my life jacket? Have I got something that can help me float if I do have to go to rescue somebody? Because unfortunately we've had a few people drown as a result of going to rescue others. And also think about how you can be safe. If something does go wrong, who are you going to call for? How are you going to do that so that you don't have multiple tragedies?
And not having those tragedies is what it's all about, and it is very, very important that we get this safety message out into the community. As we know that many people within our community have been victims as well. They have been caught, unbeknownst to them. When they look at the water, everyone else having in there, not knowing that the currents, the way they work, and as he mentioned, knowing the waves and knowing how they work, it is very, very important. Well, right now, let's finish off today's section with looking at functions and events that are taking place in Brisbane now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in, and in advance wishing you all the very best for Australia Day tomorrow, and of course for people celebrating India's Republic Day, all the very best for that. We know there have been many functions that have been organized for tomorrow. The flag raising at the consulate in the morning, the Hindu Society of Queensland celebrating their anniversary as well, 30 years, congratulations to you as well. And of course the Rotary Club are having their barbecue, and there's so many citizenship functions happening. Brisbane City Council, big citizenship ceremony and Australia Day celebration at the RNA, which is taking place there as well. And of course FICQ's the Indian Republic Day function happening at Sunpack. So that's quite a lot happening, and of course these anniversary celebrations happening at Sri Vishnu Maya Mandir as well. So wherever you're going, whichever way you go, please remain safe, drive carefully, of course, and be vigilant, and be mindful of the restrictions, which have eased a bit, but it doesn't mean that you can go about willy-nilly. So you really need to be careful as well, and be careful of others as well. And if you see things that are not right, make someone know, let someone know that, hey, this is not right. I believe this is how it should be done in the community interest, in the interest of everyone. Of course, it is a very, very important day for our Indian community and for Australians as well. So, it is that day. It is a holiday tomorrow. There's so much happening out there, but please do take care and remain safe. So we'll see you all on Wednesday, when we'll come back to you with the lots of reports of all the functions that are taking place. We'll try and bring you some video clips of coverage of all those functions that are happening tomorrow. And of course, we will have the real estate update with Usha Chandra. So until that time, it's goodbye from me. Enjoy your day and remain safe.